Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast with Kaitlyn Talamante, hosted by LadyBoss. This is the space where women rise, own their power, and stop playing small. We get real, we get raw, and we get fired up about confidence, health, business, and life. If you're ready to step into who God made you to be and unapologetically live your best life, then girl, you are in the right place. Let's do this.
This is what unapologetic looks like.
This is my era. I'm walking boldly in my purpose. I'm done dimming my light.
I'm done playing small. God didn't create me to blend in. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. The old me was surviving. The new me is free.
We rise together.
Here's to living life unapologetically. Hey ladies, and welcome back to Unapologetic. You should know by now how passionate I am about helping women own their voice, share their story, and live lives unapologetically. And today's conversation is all about that. My guest, Lori Osborne, also known as the Authority Amplifier, helps thought leaders show up online with clarity, confidence, and authority. She's the founder of BizBolster Web Solutions and the creator of the Authority Blueprint and the Authority Platform. Tools that help attract the right leads by showing up strategically and authentically online. Ladies, can you hear where I'm going with this? We're going to talk about owning your voice and your story today and getting loud about it. Lori, I am so excited to have you here with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I am super excited to be here and talk about these amazing things and our stories. Yes.
They're so important. Before we get into all the strategy and all the reasons and all the why, I would love to start with the heart. Why is this your calling? Why is this your work, Lori?
Well, I have to go back about a decade, and really share with you that has nothing to do with websites. Was a project manager. I've been in technology forever, and I was a project manager in IT, and I started falling asleep at my desk, and then my eyes started drooping, and come to find out I had a brain tumor. I said I have a brain tumor. It's a meningioma. It's a benign tumor, but sits on my pituitary and is part of my carotid artery, so they cannot remove it. During this time, obviously we wanted to fix my eye from drooping. So they did go in to do surgery. Well, when they did, they nicked the carotid, caused a brain bleed. Debris broke off and caused this drooping eye to then become a mostly blind eye, resulting in double vision for about a year and a half. And it's still mostly blind, and chronic headaches, and pretty much the inability to deal with stress of any kind, which is an odd thing to have happen, especially when you work in a high stress world. I also during that time found out I had previously had a stroke, and the only symptom I had from that was I was struggling with words or using the wrong word. So basically, coming out of all of this, I don't think I'm going back to the corporate world. I don't know if I'm ever working again. I mean, at that point, imagine double vision, and I work on a computer. I wore a patch over this side of my glasses for a year and a half, which I can't do anymore because now the eyes are so dependent on each other. It totally messes things up. But I spent about a year just dabbling and going, okay, what could I do if I started a business? And decided to build a website on Squarespace. I called it Health Nut Like Grandma because I wanted to talk about my grandmother who died from cancer, my mother who died from cancer, and then this brain tumor. And when I did, I went, why have I not been building websites my entire career? Like, I had no idea that I had this ability. I didn't know I had the creative ability. I'd always been analytical and technical, and I'd had creativity, in my home and decorating and things like that, but I didn't realize that I could actually build something representative, beautiful, on concept, and use my analytical skills. And from that point on, I went, this, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And for nearly a decade, that's what I've been doing. And then I learned marketing. I knew nothing about marketing at the time. I learned marketing, learned branding, and realized there are so many people out there that just don't know. They don't know how to show up on brand, and they don't know how to build a website, and they don't want to spend, thousands upon thousands of dollars to have something built that they can't even maintain themselves or touch themselves. So that's what led me to doing what I'm doing today.
That's crazy. So if I hear you correctly, you left corporate America and decided to start a business knowing nothing, with skills you didn't have yet. You didn't know how to build a website. You didn't know the marketing aspect, but you still chose to dive all in, even though it was like, I'm not qualified.
Pretty much.
That
Yeah.
is so, yes. And I say, and I make it sound so bad, like, because you weren't qualified, but that's the point, right?
I wasn't qualified.
Did the hard thing. You learned, you developed those skills, and now look what you're doing and all the lives you're impacting through it.
Yes. Yes. What something really funny about it is the first couple of years I said, I don't need to know marketing. I just want to build something that looks pretty. Now my marketing says, don't build a website that just looks pretty. It needs to actually attract clients.
Yes, and it's so crazy, all the details that go into the website that help them convert, because it could be the prettiest thing in the world, but the
Yes.
color psychology is real, or the buttons lay out, like, and now I look at a website, and if it confuses me, I'm gone, and I was never really like that before, and now I'm like, "That's just my brain." A lot of other people are like, "Wait, wait, wait, I don't get this. We're outta here."
I think that's everybody's brain anymore with, with the constant barrage of technology thrown at us and, being on our phones and just, we have no time. And yeah, if you don't make it fast and you don't get someone's attention, they say 8 seconds or less. Well,
Mm.
it matters. It changes all the time. I think it's really like 3 seconds or less. If you don't get them at the top immediately, they're gone. They're gone.
No, no, I've heard the 8-second statistic. I've also heard the 3-second statistic, and it's like, it's just getting shorter and shorter because we're a world of instant gratification, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you for sharing your story and why you got started. I think that's really important because I want the audience to realize, like, you're not just building websites. Like, you've used your story to help other people and to step into who they're meant to be and able to share their story themselves.
Yes, and that's so key. I mean, the why behind what we do is so critical from an alignment perspective, from a motivation perspective. And honestly, I love to share my story because I want other people to feel like they can be resilient and they can keep going and they don't have to give up just because they have a brain tumor or they don't know what they're doing or whatever. We can triumph through just about anything.
Yes, we sure can. We definitely can. It's all about that belief in yourself, is it not?
It is. Absolutely. Yes.
So, can I ask, as you've shared your story out publicly and used it to impact others' lives and help them share their story, what's been like the biggest aha during all of that in the last decade?
So I came into this, I had come out of an 18-year abusive marriage, which I developed cancer during. I lost my mom, right before all of this. And what I've really realized is one, that I am resilient. Like I really didn't own it before. Once I start like checking off the boxes and going through the list, I'm like, dang girl, you don't give up easily, do you? And this is my second business, it's just, I don't give up. The other thing is I'm not the only one that can be resilient. And that's been a huge aha moment. Anytime someone comes up to me after I've spoken, and it happens every time I speak publicly, people come up and go, wow, I'm just so amazed by your story. And I'm always listening for that. I think I can do this too, like, and if they don't say it, I'm going to remind them, because that, if we're not here to uplift each other, then what's the point? Especially women, we have enough challenges. We need to be here for each other and uplifting each other and sharing our truth and our stories of resilience, because someone else might need to hear that today. They might need to know that, okay, I don't have a brain tumor, but I've got all these other problems, or I'm in an abusive marriage, or I'm trying to figure out how to make this stupid business work and I can't figure it out. Whatever it is, you know, I just want to be there to encourage and remind people that you can. At the end of the day, you can.
I love that. Yes, 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 you can. So, ladies, all of you that are listening, are like, so the audience has like free reign to like reach out to me and be like, hey, I want to be on the podcast and like share my story. And like, ladies, you can tell your story. Just like, talk about what you're going through. Maybe you're actively going through it. Lori, why would you, for the woman who's listening, who's like, I want to reach out, but I'm on the fence, but I'm in the middle of my story, I haven't finished it. What would you tell them?
It still matters. I mean, you are living it and you're still living it. You haven't died. You haven't given up. You're still there. You still have a story of resilience. And I am sure there is something that that you can share that someone else will benefit from. I mean, we don't all know it all, and we don't know what we don't know. So share what you know, because it will help somebody. And I used to suffer a lot from and here goes the word thing, imposter syndrome. Thank you to myself. Thank you.
It's great.
I used to suffer greatly from it. And I had the best coach told me, whatever you know more than the people that know less than you. So
Yes.
you are an expert to those that don't know as much as you. And as you become more of an expert, you're becoming more of an expert to more people. Today, you know more than somebody that doesn't know as much as you. So
Yeah.
share.
I love that. I have one similar that sticks with me too. Is like you're one step ahead of someone else who is where you were one step behind. And I'm like,
Yes.
yep. And that's the person you're talking to. And for me, so I've got my transformation journey, both, with my weight and with the business and with my mindset and all the things. And so often people see Kaitlyn as the version I am now because they weren't along for the journey. And I almost kind of get like that judgment of like, well, why would I listen to you because you don't know, you haven't been there. But I have
But
been
you
there. So let's
have.
dive into the story. But and I say that to say like that's why like the sooner you share it, you're making that connection for the person that's like, for me to impact the person that might be 10 steps behind is harder than someone that's only a step ahead of them, right? Like I that's how I see it.
Yeah. Makes total sense. Absolutely. Yeah. And the sooner you share the story, the sooner you can start impacting someone else's life. I mean, we don't have enough resources. We really don't. And even though we are bombarded with technology, when you've got something like this that you can go to and hear the stories and hear how people did it, then I'm sure that Kaitlyn is always needing more people like us to share.
Yes, she is. Why do you think it is that so many women hold back from sharing their story online or on a podcast or in a blog or anywhere?
Judgment, pure fear of judgment. We're always afraid that we're not going to be good enough, or we're not going to show up well enough, or our story's not going to be impressive enough, or someone's going to find a flaw somewhere. You know what? Someone's going to find a flaw somewhere, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I also love the saying, it's not our business what other people think of us.
Yes.
I mean, stop caring, and this is the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I constantly worry about what other people think about me, but I'm working on it. And that's
Yes.
all we can do. We can work on getting better. And the more we say to ourselves, it doesn't matter, it's none of my business what they think, then just keep going. And you know what? There are more people out there in support of you and encouraged by you than there are the naysayers. And the naysayers, they have their own problems. So just move on.
Yeah. They do for sure. Just move on. And I love that. Yeah. Calling the kettle black. Like I always call it negative Nancy and positive Betty. We've got positive Betty in our head, but we got negative Nancy. And we constantly have to work on positive Betty to get her louder so we can silence negative Nancy. But it's a constant. Negative Nancy doesn't just go away. It's an imposter syndrome, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of judgment. Like all of that is negative Nancy, and she doesn't go away. But positive Betty, like once you acknowledge negative Nancy, positive Betty can get louder and silence her and be like, no, I've got a purpose. We're going to go. So I love that you pointed that out because there's so many times I was like, okay, I feel like a hypocrite. We're working that again. That's negative Nancy saying I'm a hypocrite. Positive Betty is like, no, 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 we're doing the thing. Let's go.
Yeah, you're a work in progress. We're never fully done. If we are, what's the point? I mean, might just die. I mean, we never stop improving, never stop being better and learning more. You know, that's the one thing I strive every day, especially with the brain tumor. Like I worried so much about the consequence to my brain. Like keep learning, keep knowing more. Like if my brain is growing, there's no way that this thing's going to stop it. That's the way I look at it.
Love that point of view right there. For the woman who is worried of that fear, they have fear. I'm not the expert yet. What will people think? What if my family doesn't agree? Whatever it might be. Do you have steps or suggestions on how they can start moving past that fear?
Well, I'm not a coach, but I'll give you my best my best advice. And again, not everyone's going to support you. It's first, it's surrounding yourselves with the people that will motivate you, will encourage you. My husband is a great example. My husband thinks I'm crazy. He has a 0% entrepreneurship in his body. He tells me constantly, you work twice as hard as I do and you make half as much. I don't understand why you do this. Why don't you just go get a job? Oh my God, that is like the words from hell right there. So, sorry if that's okay to say that. Get a job is not what I want to hear, but he still encourages me and he has strove to understand. It's taken time, but he understands now, though he does think I'm crazy. But it's also surrounding yourself with, I am always looking for new mentors, new people that do understand me and can help me be a better version of myself. And I really try to avoid those people that directly or indirectly put down me or what I do or how I do it, or
Mhm.
just entrepreneurship in general, or, all of that. Like, we have enough negativeness in the world. It takes no effort whatsoever to go find something negative. Zero. So
Unfortunately.
why put the people around us and surround ourselves with more negativity that we don't need? And sometimes it's hard. It is very hard to break up with a friend, even harder to break up with a family member. It's so healthy for ourselves to walk away when you've got that constant chatter it's just helping negative Nancy. Negative Nancy doesn't need help. So, I really think the key, and the other is really working on your own self, finding books, journaling. I like to listen to self-help books. I generally will not read them, but I will listen to them or find a podcast like this. Mel Robbins is also one of my favorites. And just really, as much as we can surround ourselves with positivity and encouragement and reinforcement of the good that we're trying to achieve, I think that's the best steps we can take.
Yes. Community is so huge. One thing we pride ourselves in the Lady Boss business is the Lady Boss community because it is all about the women and having that support system. And I'm constantly saying it's like your husband might love you to pieces, but that doesn't mean he's your biggest supporter because he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand, he might be 6'3" and 175 pounds and lean and muscular and this and that, where you've got 20, 30, 100 pounds you want to lose. He's not on the same path. He's not on the same mission. And he's a man, not, and we are not a man. Like, there's just multiple layers we can go in there, but they may love you. It doesn't make them a bad person, right? Like, your husband's not a bad guy, but he thinks you're crazy because he doesn't get it. So, surrounding yourself with people who do, oh, that's so empowering.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Laura, you mentioned that you like audible books a lot. What is your favorite that you've come across so far?
Oh, there are so many. My latest is Start with Your Why. That was really powerful for me. Just I knew I told my story a lot and I knew that there was power in it, but I didn't really fully grasp how important in an alignment perspective our why is. I'm constantly talking about attracting your ideal client and doing the things to attract your ideal client. Well, if your whys are in alignment, that is a great way, another way to attract your ideal client, because if they get your why, then the what is secondary.
Hmm.
I also love Mel Robbins' new book, Let Them. Huge. So important to just let other people be themselves and let yourself, let them, let me be yourself, be free of that judgment. That one's just very, very powerful for sure.
Yes. I read Let Them. I have not read Start with Your Why, and I need to because I talk all the time about like you have to know your why, and I don't mean like your surface level. I do it for my kids' why, like your deep soul anchoring why. And I'm gonna bet I'm gonna have to go look at this book and go see.
You will
So
like
now,
it, I promise.
so now we have the like why your story matters. I would love to talk about like how now that they know their why, like how do they actually go about and start sharing it with authority online?
So the first thing you have to do, absolutely mandatory, is know your brand. And that's a big word that gets minimalized a lot. So when I say brand, I don't just mean your colors and your fonts and the look, although that is part of it. For instance, you might see my glasses. Color is a big part of my brand. My logo is very colorful, my background's very colorful, and hopefully recognize, well, I say hopefully, it's very recognizable. People will run into me 3 years after they've met me and not know my name, but they know my glasses and they come
Oh, I
running
love
up and
it.
go, glasses, glasses. It works. But that's the visual part of it. The rest of your brand is, it starts with knowing your why, and the next thing is knowing your ideal client. And this is probably the biggest challenge that I see with people is we are so afraid to niche down because we think if we niche down that all these people outside this niche aren't going to find us, aren't going to be attracted to us, and we'll lose business. But believe me, I am speaking from experience here. It took me 8 years to finally listen to this and live it. And niching down makes you more of an expert because the more you niche down and know that ideal client, the better you can speak to them and help them. And therefore, you are a better expert in that area. So that would be the next step of branding. And then it's aligning your messaging to that. So whether it's your website, your social media, anything that you do, your email funnels, everything needs to speak directly to the pain points of your ideal client, what they need to achieve, what their understanding is. And to do that, you have to really understand them in a very detailed fashion, down to how much money they make, how educated they are, who their ideal audience is, so that you can, and especially their pain points. So when I work with people, I start with that, and then I start with creating a custom GPT out of that so that you not only have a trained GPT, which I hear all the time, but you have a very detailed GPT that understands the details of all of those things about your brand. So that's really the first place anybody should start with is the branding identity.
I love that. Mine is very bright and sparkly and glittery if you can't tell. And I've got my water cup. Like I'm a water girly. So like that's part of it. Like I don't go anywhere without my water cup. Like
I
I've got my
love it.
coffee over here, but like even while we film this, like I won't pull out my coffee. I'm only gonna pull out my water because it's part of the brand. The coffee isn't part of the brand. So I love that you mentioned that because like you think about how you're putting it together and own it, you know? And sometimes I think I got like, oh, maybe I should scale back the glitter or not wear the diamondy rhinestoned outfit or the super bright fluorescent pink. And I'm like, no, that's who, one, that's who I am. I love it. And two, like, it's part of the brand, right?
Right.
And a lot of our audience isn't necessarily business owners at this time, and they may not be looking at starting a business right now. So I want to take this a level further when it comes to sharing your story, and help me elaborate on it, Lori. So when Lori also talks branding, you don't have to think in the way of like, okay, well, what is my business going to be and what am I going to sell? I feel like when you sometimes in the entrepreneurial world or thinking business, when you think of brand, you think of what am I going to sell? Like, how do I make a business out of this? But if you're listening and you're just now starting, like, you want to help someone, help, maybe it's women. For me, I want to help women. I want to help them live lives unapologetically. Say, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to make money doing it, but I want to share my story. That is all part of your brand, is it not, Lori? Like, you can, like, as you tell your story and create that craft and start impacting, it can unfold, right?
Absolutely. I mean, look at my story. I mean, I didn't know when I started all of this that this is what I was going to be doing. And I certainly I didn't know until 2 years ago that I was going to even lean into branding. Like it's an evolving process, but starting with the story. And even if you never want to have a business, knowing your story and sharing your story still impacts others. So I will share my story with anybody that's willing to listen, not because it elevates me, but because it elevates resilience. I mean, that to me is the key point to everything that I'm living. And why would I want to keep that to myself? So yes, absolutely. Start with your story.
It really helps spread that sparkle into the world, right? Helps create a more positive place to be.
Absolutely.
What are some of the signs that you might see if, like, your story is out of alignment with with your soul and with your brand?
Ask that again.
Like, if I'm telling you my story, but I'm not connected to my story, like, I feel out of alignment. Have you seen that? And then when you do see that and there's that disconnect there, like, what are the signs of it? And, like, why does that happen?
I I think when that happens, you're not done. There's a step missing. Like we need to dig a little deeper and go, you're at the surface and either it's not really your story, you don't align and live it and feel it. Even if it's your story, it's not your heart story. So I think it's really a matter of digging in deeper and going, okay, but why is this story important? Why do I want to share it? And what about it can help other people? Where can I align it? And some of it's really, I mean, public speaking of any form, even if it's just this kind of public speaking, can be intimidating and overwhelming. And so I would encourage people to sit down and write out your story, like really think about it and write it out and talk through it and just start sharing it with your friends and family. And it doesn't have to be, Joe, can we just sit down so I can tell you my story? Like just, over coffee, like just someone you've never shared your story with. Just share it in practice because that's where we find that depth and maybe find what's missing. And writing it out, you can really read into it and dig into it more, and then maybe even just meditate on it and go, okay, I'm not quite there, like there's more to this, and I want to dig deeper and find out what I'm missing for myself and what I'm sharing.
Oh, I love that. I've ladies, make sure you wrote all that down because I've done every single one of those to continue to fine tweak and refine my story, especially as when there were parts that I thought wouldn't impact and wouldn't matter. And I kind of wrote them off. And in hindsight, and as I've developed, it's like, no, 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 that is a crucial integrate part of my story. So, ladies, definitely write that down. Lori, something else that I just recently started doing, I call them walk and talks with Chat GPT. You don't know, ladies listening, ChatGPT has this functionality where not just only like typing into AI, like asking your questions or whatnot, but you can record your voice and it talks back to you like a best friend. It's kind of weird. Keep in mind, AI is like made to like make you feel good about yourself and whatnot, right? But I love like I will go for a walk and just like even if I have nothing to say, just start talking to the AI. Because then as I start walking and talking, then it starts flowing. And then by the end of it, I'm just going to town on all these ideas. And normally I keep that conversation in my head. And now I'm able to put it into my AI that can then give me that recap and then help me form that story even more and even pull out the points of like, okay, even when you talked, you wrote this off, but like, it sounds like there's a deeper connection there. Like maybe you should look at that. And it's like, called out AI. Thank you very much. So walk and talks with AI is another one that I would.
Love that. Yes. Yes. I often forget that. I'm frequently reminded, which means I need to hear what you just said because I often forget. I don't know how many times it comes up that it's like, well, why don't you ask your AI about that? Especially when you've fully trained your AI to know you and everything about you. It is so incredible the insight that it can give back. And yeah, I mean, there have been some very specific things I've gone to it and gone, I don't even know where to start with this, or I don't know how to deal with this issue. And it is amazing the advice that can come back. Now, it probably shouldn't replace therapy, but just there's like a little caveat there. But it is so helpful, especially in your story. I mean, my AI has helped me tweak so many things that I knew what I was trying to say, but I wasn't quite sure the best way to say it.
Oh, I definitely sometimes give my chat my blah is what I call it. Here is my blah. I'm going to give you, help me make my brain make sense because this is what I got. And it's like, there, that's exactly it. You took my blah and you made it make sense.
I love it. Yes.
So I guess so I mean, it's been around for a couple years now, but it's getting more and more popular. We're seeing all sorts of crazy AI content on social, but some people have never even touched AI. So they're listening to this and like, oh, I can train an AI to me. What would you tell the listeners? Like, what is the first steps you should take if you want to train an AI for
Well,
yourself?
if you sign up for ChatGPT and you can do the paid version for $20 a month, which I highly recommend. And up in the settings, you can tell it, you can give it a name. Mine's name is Max. You can give a name, you can give yourself a name. My name is Rockstar Lori because I want to be reminded constantly how awesome I am. And you can tell it your tone of voice. You can upload documents that you've written or things that sound like you. You can also tell it, I like to sound like Mel Robbins, so make me sound like Mel Robbins. Like you can teach it a lot even in the settings, and then as you go, as you're working with it, it's learning, but you can also tell it, like, make sure you save this for future reference. I want to refer back to this, and it will do that. You can also save things to projects that if you really want to make sure that was a really good brainstorm, I want to make sure I save that. Hey, would you save that to a project for me? You don't have to do that manually. It's very cool.
It's
But
so nice.
I think and then just practice, just getting in and using it for a walk and talk or for a specific project or my husband just took another corporate job and it was really funny because I don't know, 3 days into the job, they said, "We need a master services agreement. Go write one." And he's like, "Hey, I've never written a master services agreement before." So he pulled up his chat GPT and guess what? Something that would have normally taken in the past, months to create, a couple of weeks later after a lot of tweaks back and forth among everybody, he has one. And that's the kind of thing that they say that AI is not going to replace you. People who know how to use AI are going to replace you. And that's a
Yeah.
great example because AI can do so many things for us, but you have to know what to ask and how to ask for it and that you can ask for it because there are so many things it can do for you.
It really can. That's awesome. I named mine and I think I named her Brittany. I think. I'm gonna have to go back and look and see what I named her because I don't use it all the time. It was either Brittany or Stacy, and now I feel bad. But then I have the guy voice on there, so my guy's name is Brittany.
I love it. Well, you can always ask him or her, what did I name you?
What name would you prefer? And then help me remember it.
Right. Love it. I
Ooh,
love it. I had to rename mine because I gave it some funky acronym name and it just didn't stick. And Max, I love Max because I think of it as it's me performing to the max by using Max. And I use him all day, every day.
Max sounds amazing. Speaking of Max, though, continuing on with it, like, as someone who uses AI in a smart and authentic way, what role do you think it should and shouldn't play, should and shouldn't play in how we tell our stories? Like, where should we be drawing the line?
For me, the line is drawn in-person or interpersonal communication. So one of the things it's really kind of bothering me right now, for those that are like heavily involved in social media, especially, for businesses, LinkedIn, there's a lot of AI generated comments because, you want to get as much out there as possible and you want as much on your post as possible. But I feel like it's losing the authenticity. And I do feel like being authentic and vulnerable and real are critical to everything about us, whether it's business or in person, interpersonal relationships, everything we do. If we completely lose our authenticity and our vulnerability, we might as well be just robots going around talking to each other. I really feel like that. There's even chat or GPTs or chats, what AI are doing interviews, which
Mhm.
I get, but that bothers me. Automatic engagements on chat. Now,
Yes.
if you're getting on chat and it says this is so and so's AI agent, and you know that you're getting help from an AI agent, and it's when it can't help you anymore, it's going to send you to a real person. That's one thing. But when it's coming across like it's you and they don't know that it's you, that
Yeah.
bothers me. That makes me really uncomfortable, and that's just my opinion. I feel like that's crossing the line. There's a difference in an autoresponder and an actual engager. So that's and the key is I live authenticity. That is so critical to me. And then again, that vulnerability, and that I just feel like we have to do what we can to maintain that.
I feel like AI could be a great tool to help us along and even make sense of our thoughts, but we have to be very careful that we are telling AI what we're wanting and needing, and AI isn't telling us who we are and how we should be thinking.
Yes,
Very fine line there, right?
I
So,
agree.
ladies, we talked about your why. I lost my bracelet. We're talking about
No, she lost her gemstones. Oh no.
it landed in my shoe. So, ladies, we've talked about sharing your story and why it matters and finding your why and making sure you have that alignment and then branding yourself. And what does it look to brand yourself, not only as an entrepreneur, but just by telling your story? And then tools like journaling and personal development and AI and meditation to continue to refine that story. So, Lori, for the woman who's like, okay, that's a lot of steps to share my story. What is the number one thing that like right now they need to go and work on if they want to start sharing that story?
Very first thing is figuring out your story. Do I have no, not do I. What is my story that I want to share? That will uplift someone else or will share my why. I mean, first the first step is identifying the story. And in doing that, asking yourself, how vulnerable am I comfortable being? Is this authentic to me? Am I really living in a truth? And then working on sharing it in a way that amplifies that. So we can have a tendency to, like, let's say we're writing out the story, we can have a tendency to try to sound a certain way that we think is necessary to be heard. And my recommendation is what is necessary is being you.
Mm,
100% you, not sitting there going, I have to sound like Mel Robbins or I have to sound like, I don't know,
Lori
who
Osborne.
else?
Lori
Whatever. Yeah.
Osborne. Robin.
Just be you because that's where the power comes from. And guess what? People can tell if you're not being you. So just be 100% authentic you. And if you think that you don't have a story, stop because we all have a story. We all came from something. And even if you had the most perfect life, you still have something. There's probably something from that perfect life that you wish people knew that, yeah, it looked perfect, but it really wasn't so perfect. There's always a story. So take the time to find and dig in and really ask yourself. And if you have to talk to your chat GPT, but if you haven't trained it yet, it's not going to know your story. So, but start with figuring out what the story is for sure.
Thank you. That's incredible. Incredible feedback, Lori. Thank you so much. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you have a free gift for all of our listeners. Do you not?
I do, but after our conversation, I'm changing it. So,
I love that.
yeah. So I'm going to have to send you a new link, Kaitlyn, to put with the podcast. But I actually have a download on finding your story and building your story. And I feel like, I don't know, it couldn't be more appropriate for this conversation today. So that is what I am going to share with you is that link to that download.
Well, incredible. I love when that stuff like this happens where it's just like, let's just randomly change it because, this is actually what fits and this is where the conversations went. And yes, ladies, we will be putting it in the show notes. So I point down at the bottom of my screen if you're watching the video. There's somewhere in the show notes. Go snag that link and get access to that file. It is so perfect after the conversation we've had today.
Yes. Hopefully it will help all of you.
Thank you so much, Lori. And lastly, because this is the Unapologetic podcast, I would love to ask you one final question. How is Lori living life unapologetically today?
I'm living all out. I mentioned I have chronic headaches. I have a lot of challenges as a result of the whole brain tumor thing. And I get up every day and number one, I'm doing what I love, which I think is so important. That would be my other piece of advice to give to everybody is if you aren't living your passion and you're not doing something that you wake up in the morning and go, I can't wait to get to my desk or my office or whatever because I love this so much, then change what you're doing. And that, I think that is my unapologetic. I am not a millionaire and I'm probably not making as much as I should be or could be, but I'm doing what I love and I'm respecting my body at the same time and my limitations, and I'm still doing it.
It's so I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for adding that in there. And thank you so much for being here with us and for reminding us that our story is powerful and to stop hiding it, to start sharing it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
Everyone who's listening, go grab Lori's free gift in the show notes. Go snag it. DM me, Lori, if you're open to it. I'd love to share your social links as well. DM
Yes.
Lori, if that's okay.
Yes.
And let us know what you took away from today's podcast as you use her free resource she's providing. How is it helping you? Let us know. Let us know, ladies, because you were never meant to stay silent. And if you're still struggling with that, I'm here for you. Lori's happy to help as well. So let's show up and let's shine and let's live life unapologetically. Until next time, bye.
I'm showing up as the woman I was created to be.
I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be willing.
One woman's courage gives another permission. I'm done waiting for someday. My time is now. I'm walking in faith, not fear.
God's plan for me is bigger than my fear.
No more hiding who I am. This is the real me, and I'm not apologizing for her.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unapologetic Podcast. If today's episode fired you up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one. And hey, leave a quick review, or sharing this with a friend helps us reach more women who need this message. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living unapologetically.